Hello, everyone. Our topic for today is the global decline of standards. And despite the rather challenging title, it's a very serious topic. So I'm wearing a bow tie again. Okay, maybe you know that beyond being the CEO of WWII, I'm also a serious audiophile and a coffee aficionado, or a snob for that matter. So, to illustrate the point, I will start with a brief history of Americano. Okay, in the 18th century, tea was considerably more popular in the US compared to coffee. It all changed with the Boston Tea Party, after which drinking tea has become kind of a support for the crown and Great Britain in general, and drinking coffee has become kind of patriotic. I must remind everyone that coffee drinking traditions have come to the US from Europe. And in the 18th century, traditional European coffee was relatively strong. Just to give you an example, Voltaire used to drink up to 50 or 60 cups at his favorite coffee shop, Le Procop, but these were tiny cups of good coffee, like 60 milliliters or 2 ounces. But at the end of the 18th century and subsequently in the 19th century, American coffee has become considerably more diluted and watery and weaker. Why? Well, first of all, it's the Revolutionary War, because many ports were simply closed and unavailable for delivering goods. And I need to remind you that at that time, most of the coffee was imported from the Northern Africa region through Europe, because Brazil has become a dominating exporter of coffee on the world arena only by the mid 19th century. And the second reason, tariffs. You have to finance the war irrespective of the century. Because of that, most working people, which is most of the population, simply could not afford coffee in sufficient quantities. What people started to do is, first of all, they started mixing it creatively with chicory, beans, acorns, or whatever else. And they also started to dilute it, adding more water so that could last the whole day. But the economic situation changed very soon after the Civil War. The US has become an advanced and rather well-to-do nation in average. Ironically, it coincided in time with the first percolator being patented. And here is an interesting fact. First of all, cooks, out of pure convenience, tended to boil coffee in large pots for elongated periods of time, which made it very bitter. Also, percolation in large quantities also tended to create bitter, watery brews. And people have naturally tried to dilute it with water. Here comes the cultural twist. The nation has become relatively prosperous, it's no longer involved in wars, there is no blockade on the ports, but most of the people have got used to this diluted version of coffee, and they still drink it despite the fact that it's very far from its origins. Drip coffee makers that were patented in very early 20th century just exacerbated the trend. Now let's fast forward to the Second World War. American troops landing in Europe and in Italy in particular have found espresso that locals traditionally drank very bitter. It was too intense for their tastes. So local baristas had to invent a way to make it more diluted and more watery closer to the standards at home. And that's how Americano was born. They just started adding water to espresso shots. To summarize, people were reproducing the recipe that was born during the Revolutionary War shortages and blockade and bad economic situation in modern times. That is, convenience and traditions have won over enjoyment. And now you can find Americano all over the world in any coffee shop you visit. This is the disaster of our own making. Humankind as a whole has never been better off, which theoretically means that we should be enjoying better quality products and services. But looks like our tastes have evolved and evolved for the worse significantly. Just think of it. It's not just coffee. It's also, after the COVID pandemic, people are mostly not just sleeping in their pajamas, but they are also working from home in their pajamas and even go to stores or post offices. People eat crappy fast food that's not good for your health. People listen to shitty music where you cannot distinguish one track from the other, or using crappy Bluetooth in-ear monitors, IEMs, where one cannot really enjoy music quality. People consume poorly created and poorly crafted AI-generated content, video, animation, translation, and whatnot. People tend to forget that they usually behave exactly the way they live and they look. And this means sloppy and unhappy. Okay, I'm not trying to idealize the 18th century. People were considerably less healthy because there were no vaccines and no antibiotics. But just think of it. Isn't it ridiculous that at that time they were eating mostly natural products, wearing mostly natural clothing, listening to acoustic live music, and despite all the problems and all the poverty around, they did find time to enjoy their lives. And the last but not the least, they were drinking normal coffee. Isn't it ironic that clients are currently squeezing pennies out of the service companies like my company, WWII, just in order to produce more shitty, crappy services that one can neither consume normally nor enjoy, only multiplying the unhappiness and the overall sense of dread. More things of shitty quality around us and consuming more shitty food will only make us more desperate and less happy. This will never lead to enjoyment. Just think of it. Good quality content can be artistic, sublime, vitriolic, mesmerizing, mystical, whatever else. But for that, you need real creators, you need real ideas behind all those computer games, movies, scripted shows, and everything, so that we could really enjoy our time while playing a game or watching a movie or an episode from a series. That's it. We need high quality to enjoy, not more shitty quality, faceless, so-called creations. I understand that we cannot change this attitude, that is, convenience beats joy, quality of life, and overall attitude overnight. Obviously not. But we can at least start. We can try some small steps, like, for instance, get a decent pair of headphones and try listening to high quality acoustic music. Or get a decent and not too expensive espresso machine, order high quality coffee online. You can write me about it and I'll get back to you. Its price is not higher than what you can get at the supermarket, and try to enjoy your espresso. Really. All the best of luck.